Hi, my name is Shani Apodaca. My husband Bill Apodaca and I are chef owners of Simply Good Kitchen in Birmingham, Michigan. We teach cooking classes and we like to talk about pan temperature. This is, we call this evening up the playing field, so we all know what's going on when we come to the stove to start cooking. A lot of people will read a recipe, the recipe will say, cook this on high heat for 8 to 10 minutes, and all of a sudden it starts burning up on you and you're wondering what the heck happened. I went all the way to the high dial on my stove. We like to say not all stovetops are created equal, and all high heat is 425 to 450 degrees of temperature, but when you open your dial to the full blast heat, which is your highest setting, you could be cooking at 1,000, 11, 1,200 degrees of temperature. So we always say when you're reading a recipe, preparing a recipe, if it says to cook over low heat, we want you to think that you're going to be cooking around 300, 325 degrees of temperature. If we said in a recipe that you should be cooking over medium heat would be 350, 375 degrees of temperature. If we say high heat, we're talking about 425 to 450 degrees of temperature. Those temperatures correlate the same way your dial on your oven says. Low heat, 300 degrees, medium heat, 350 to 375 degrees, high heat, 425 to 450 degrees. So what we have found, there's a cool tool out there called a surface thermometer. You can use this out on the grill or you can use it in your pan, so you can call it a pan surface thermometer. And this thermometer will register the heat of your pan. So the best way Bill and I can tell you how to find how your stove temperature runs, you need to get a cold pan. I got myself a cold pan here. And then we take and open, that's a full blast burner. You can see how high this flame is coming up on this stove. That is easily a 1,100 degree flame. So what we do, we tell you just to open the burner halfway. So there's my halfway point, and then I would set my pan over that burner, my cold pan over the burner, and then I would take and put my surface thermometer in that pan. Take a timer for myself, set a timer for about 8 minutes, and then walk away from the pan. Now your timer goes off, you come back and you look and you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize at the halfway point on my stove, I'm cooking somewhere between 400 and 600 degrees of temperature. So now that you know what your halfway point is, you can vary that by backing it down a little to get to that 450 you're looking for, or full blast if you're looking to boil water. I hope that makes sense to you. We always say it's like driving a car. Just because your car can go from 0 to 160 doesn't mean you get in it and floor the accelerator every time you get in it. You learn how to maintain the speed in your car to drive the speed limit so you don't get a ticket. That's what we want you to think about when you come to the stove. You want to maintain the surface temperature of your stove so you can walk away from that pan, go answer the phone, go pick something up, come back and stir the pan, and nothing's going to incinerate on you. Now that we've talked about establishing pan temperature, we'd like to come to the stove and cook scramble some eggs in the pan for you just to see how easy it is. The three things we like to talk about with pan temperature and preheating a saute pan. First thing is, you're going to start cooking immediately as soon as you start putting something into the pan. Doesn't matter if you're scrambling eggs, if you're cooking a chicken breast, a piece of steak, vegetables, potatoes, it's not going to stick to the pan. It's going to start cooking immediately. Secondly, when we put something into a hot pan, we're going to get that golden brown color that we always like to achieve for that eye appeal and for that taste sensation. But we wouldn't get that if we started it in a cold pan. If we put it in a cold pan, the meats or the vegetables, their moisture would leach out of it, and then whatever you had in the pan would start steaming in the pan instead of sauteing in the pan. Bill and I also find when we use a preheated pan, we can always beat a microwave oven, and you'll get a better flavor on it, and that you don't get out of the microwave oven. And thirdly, we like to use scrambled eggs as our demonstration here because it's like magic. Most people, we say, don't cook scrambled eggs because it takes so much much time to clean up the pan, but you'll see when we cook our eggs in our preheated pan, we won't have to clean very hard. We have a little porcelain dish here we pour the thermometer out onto just so nobody touches it. The metal housing on it is as hot as what your dial's reading, so you don't want to touch it with your fingers. Little bit of canola oil in the pan just to coat the bottom of the pan. And we will move that around to cover the bottom of the pan. We've got our 3 eggs here. We'll whisk them up a little bit. You'll see we'll put them in the pan and we immediately start cooking. You can hear the sizzle. Get a little salt, season these up, and then it's as easy as moving this around. Scramble our eggs. So next time your family asks for scrambled eggs, say no problem. And with that, it's like magic. Voila. Scrambled eggs in a pretty clean pan. Thanks for joining us at Simply Good.